Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're talking about how to get your first real estate deal with little to no money and a couple strategies that I've found can help you guys do that, especially given the fact that I didn't have very much money whenever I got my first real estate deal. So first one I'm going to talk about is going to be just as simple as it can be. The FHA, the First Homebuyers Association loan, okay? So most of the time people think you have to have 25% down to buy investment properties, which is true most times for investment properties. They think you have to have 5 or 10% down to buy your own first property personally. But there is a loan called an FHA, which you can literally use 3.5% of the purchase price as the down payment. So if it's a $100,000 house, your down payment essentially would be $3,500, okay? And per every 100,000, it would be $3,500 more, essentially, okay? Now, this one's super simple and super easy to understand for everybody, so that's typically the first, thing that they learn about little to no money financing in terms of real estate. A really cool thing about this that some people actually don't understand is you can buy a duplex, triplex, or a fourplex, anything up to 4 units with an FHA loan that is literally 3.5% down, where you could actually be into your first investment property for like 12, 15, 20, 25 grand total. And you could be cash flowing like a couple hundred, if not even if you hit a home run deal, $1,000 a month off of these 3 units. You're only required to live in the first unit for the first year, like your own personal. And then you can move out and cash flow a ton. If you can find something that covers the mortgage while also letting you live there, I would probably consider that a pretty good deal. But everybody has different standards and different percent cash on cash returns that they actually like to look for. So find yours. Mine are typically 12% cash on cash returns or more, but 12% is kind of the minimum. Find yours, what you're comfortable with, and invest accordingly. But the second thing I'm going to say is if you can learn enough, technically you don't even actually need money to invest in real estate. And there's a couple ways, but the first one that I'm going to touch on is just a partnership. It's kind of funny. If I didn't have any money, but I found that same deal that I found for my first duplex that I actually did an FHA loan on, it cost me $11,000. I guarantee you I would have been able to go to my dad and say, hey, if we 50-50 this will be an amazing rental property. I found it. I'll do the work to manage it. I'll literally handle everything. I just need the down payment money, and it's 11 grand. And if it can make you an extra $1,000, $2,000 a year for 11 grand on top of appreciation, tax benefits, and principal pay down, do you think that you'd be willing to go 50-50 on it with me? I have the deal, and it's under contract already. Literally 10 times out of 10, I would be able to find somebody that's willing to front the money for the down payment to make that deal happen. That way I could get into my first rental property, technically no money down, and start owning and operating rental properties. And the faster you can get to that point, the faster you can build tremendous wealth over time. The next one I would say is learning what subject to or seller finance deals are. These are really interesting. They're a little bit different. They're not necessarily the normal real estate deal, but you can literally pretty much take over somebody's loan by writing a contract called a contract for deed. You take over the deed of the property. They still control the title, but you guys now have a contract where the property is yours and you're paying the owner what their monthly payment is or whatever. It's crazy. These deals, you can negotiate anything. So you could literally be paying the exact same amount as they're paying for their mortgage. You pay it to them. They pay the mortgage company. By the time you pay off their loan for them, you are now the actual owner. Hopefully I explained that well enough there. But there can also be other crazy like seller finance deals out there that maybe the owner owns the property outright and they don't have a loan at all. And you literally can choose in the contract or negotiate in the contract what you end up paying for the monthly payment, how many years you get to pay on the monthly payment before you need to pay off the rest of the loan. Like, you can negotiate the interest rate, everything, essentially, when it comes to the property ownership. And it's really cool. I've done a couple deals like this, nothing too crazy. But right now we have a piece of land that we actually seller financed, and we're going to have it, interest rates were super high whenever we bought it. So we're going to have it at, I think it was at a 3% interest rate comparative to what would have been an 8% if we would have went for a bank for the first 3 years. In the years 4 and 5, we're going to have it at a 5% interest rate. And the years 5 through 7, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to have it at a 7% interest rate. So it helped us a lot in terms of keeping our payment lower because we could get a lower interest rate, which obviously makes the payment lower monthly. And then by the time year 7 comes around, we have the option to either pay it off in full or go to a bank and refinance it and finance the rest through a bank. And we hopefully have saved money by doing so through seller finance. But it's cool because the land technically, if we would have negotiated it, could have been something that we got completely free. We did end up putting money down, but we could have legitimately put it in the contract. No down payment, this amount of interest for these years, this amount of interest for these years, this amount of interest for the years after, and done a deal with $0. So whenever you're coming into real estate as a newbie, typically the people that have been in it a while do start to have some sort of money, which is the cool part. That's why most people want to invest in real estate. But whenever you're coming into real estate as a new investor, you kind of have to break this idea of like, I have to have a ton of money. It's really, really, really good to have reserves in the bank. Don't get me wrong. You are going to want to have money just in case things go wrong at your properties because, I mean, at the end of the day, they just will at some point, okay? But you don't have to have a ton of money to get started. What you really need in real estate is a ton of knowledge. There's this like triangle that of business that somebody told me about one time, and it's hustle, knowledge, or money. And you don't have to have all three. If you have 2 out of the 3, you're set in any situation. If you have 1 out of the 3, all it takes is enough time and effort to put yourself in the right situation. If you can have hustle and knowledge, all you got to do is find somebody with the money. If you can have money and knowledge, all you got to do is find somebody that has the hustle. If you have hustle, then it gets a little bit harder. If you only have 1 of the 3, you have to find the person with the other 2. But you can always find the solution if you have one of those 3 things in real estate. So at the end of the day, you don't have to have a ton of money to start. But I hope this video is super valuable for you guys. These are lessons that I've learned over years of real estate investing, and I hope to keep sharing them with you guys. Shoot me some DMs, replies, comments, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, but keep me coming with video ideas, or keep coming at me with them so I can keep making them for you guys. Other than that, I appreciate you. I will see you in the next one.